So Gamescom opening night live 2025 just wrapped up, our latest and greatest Jeff Keighley presentation, and usually I don't like these shows, and well, this is no exception to the rule. I didn't really care for this, but I decided for this video we're going to focus on the positives. We're going to focus on the things that I liked, the games that I liked, the games that interested me. All of the games we're going to talk about in this are games that I probably will pick up. There is one game that I am going to be negative about, but that's just the anomaly when it comes to this. I'm not going to talk about the anime and TV show integrations, the long ad times for certain games, the Gamescom Cares segment where they highlight a social issue and talk about how they're trying to change the world. I'm sure Jeff Keighley is giving large portions of those hundreds of thousands of dollars he gets from each individual company to showcase their games to whatever social, political, whatever issue is going on in the real world, right? Right? It's not pandering or anything like that. But let's talk about the games. Let's talk about the games that I liked, and hopefully there's enough stuff to make a video. In the pre-show, we had two highlights that caught my interest. The first one was a game called Outlaws. Now, this is a classic LucasArts game that was like a first-person shooter. I'm completely unfamiliar with this game. I've actually never heard of this game. I'm assuming it was a PC game because I'd never heard of it coming out on consoles, but I like it. It's a shooter set in the Wild Wild West. I can get my Marshall Dillon on, a little bit of Gunsmoke reference there for you young whippersnappers watching this video, but it looks like a old school Doom style shooter. It's just set in the Wild West, and I like that. I like the vibe, the aesthetic. It's a digital Eclipse game. It's going to have remastered graphics and stuff like that. Very cool. I like that. Before we get into the next game, I want to give a huge thank you to today's video sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Disorder. Disorder is a roguelite dungeon crawler where no run is wasted. Even if you fail, you're stacking up resources for permanent upgrades so you come back stronger every time. None of that start from zero nonsense. You can play Disorder on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Runs great on the Steam Deck, too. And don't get it twisted, this isn't some super slow Souls-like. This is pure hack-and-slash chaos. You're mowing down hordes with ridiculous skills, customizing your layout, and just absolutely melting enemies. And right now, there's a free DLC update with two brand new characters. One's rocking ranged firearms for a sharpshooting vibe, and the other's calling in straight-up drones to do the dirty work. Yes, drones. It's as cool as it sounds. So yeah, Disorder is fast, it's fun, and you're always making progress. Be sure to check out the link in the description box down below or in the pinned comment, and grab the game now and jump in before everyone's talking about these new characters. And a huge thank you to Disorder for sponsoring today's video. And the second game was a brand new He-Man game. Now, I am not the biggest He-Man fan in the world, and you would think that I would be a huge He-Man fan, but He-Man was a little bit before my time. Like, my cartoon shows were like Ninja Turtles and X-Men and stuff like that. He-Man was a little bit before my time, but this game looks awesome, and I could still appreciate like the old school He-Man stuff. It's a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up. The graphics look great. I love the size of the characters and the environments and stuff like that. The animation looks great as well. Definitely something that I am very hyped about, and I thought was really cool and, set a decent pace for this show. There was other stuff in the pre-show. It just didn't interest me. I guess you could watch someone else's video. And then we have the main show, and this is the part where I'm going to do the one game that I did not like that I am going to talk about in this video, and that is Black Ops 7. Jesus Christ almighty, what have you done to Call of Duty? I have been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360, okay? The original Call of Duty 2. So I am a seasoned veteran. I play the Call of Duty games every freaking year. And yes, I don't necessarily enjoy or love all of my time with them, but at least the multiplayer is pretty fun for the most part. I don't like the futuristic crap. And what they're doing with Black Ops 7, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's like near distant future of like 2035, I think they said. And like, there's AI robots and alternate dimensions and wall running. It looks so dumb, dude. It just looks so stupid and just so over the top that it's just like complete nonsense. It's like, do you remember what this franchise used to be? Do you remember why people started playing this game? Like, at this point in time, I hope Battlefield 6 does very well. I just don't think it has the name variety to topple Call of Duty, but bring back Medal of Honor. Bring back the other like war shooter games, because Black Ops is just going in a completely different direction. They had this giant massive creature, like dude man massive giant at the end of it. It was so stupid. Now, back to the positivity here. And this was arguably the game of the show for me. It was a new Batman game, and I thought this looked awesome. It's Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. And I know what you're saying, Lego, come on, RGT, that's not cool. Pish posh. Lego games, I always say, it boils down to the source material on whether or not you're going to enjoy it, because Lego games in and of themselves are very fun. It's just, if you don't care about the source material, you're probably not going to care about the game. The Lego Jurassic Park, Jurassic World thing, it was awesome. I loved that game. And Lego Batman, the Legacy of the Dark Knight, just it looks really good, dude. Like, it's all encompassing of like all Batman stuff. So like movies, TV, comic books, there's deep cut stuff. The combat, they showed some of the combat in the game as well. It looks very similar to Arkham City. There is a large open world Gotham that you can explore and stuff like that. There's multiple bat vehicles as well. I really thoroughly enjoyed this. The game is coming out in 2026. It is a multi-platform game, so that's pretty cool. I did have one little problem though. They had some of the voice actors talking in the trailer, of course. I did not care for Batman's voice or Joker's voice. I know maybe that's just some of the nostalgia with, those no longer with us. Or I guess, you don't want to call up Mark Hamill to do Joker stuff in that case. But, like, they just sounded off to me. Like, I thought the other characters sounded fine. Like, Alfred sounded really good, but Batman and Joker, I don't know. There's just gonna be a little curve with that for me to kind of get used to it. But definitely a highlight of the show for me, and this was my favorite game by far. And then there was just a bunch of uninteresting games that all looked similar. Carbon copy paste nonsense, a few things here and there, but nothing super exciting. Like Onimusha was also shown again. I don't need to see Onimusha again. Like, I've seen it so many times now. Like, I'm already sold on it. I want it in 2026. Why do you keep showing me the game? That kind of stuff bothers me a little bit. But here was something very interesting. Indiana Jones. The DLC is, of course, coming out on September 4th. And Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was one of my favorite games of 2024 and is one of my favorite more recent games that I have played lately. I put like 45 some odd hours into that game. I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and I think that the DLC looks absolutely amazing. Looks very meaty. There's new locations, new puzzles to solve. It doesn't look like just a little expansion. It looks like a full-on sort of, obviously not a sequel, but it's expanding upon the game and giving you new areas and new things to do, which I'm completely on board with. I am 100% sold on this game. I can't wait to play it. And here was the shocker, folks. It's coming out on the Switch 2 as well. They announced a Switch 2 version of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I'm guessing along with the DLC, coming out in 2026. So that's our big Xbox game coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and the second one, because technically Tony Hawk 3 and 4 Remastered was indeed an Xbox property that came out on the Nintendo Switch 2 and Switch 1, but I feel like this is more impactful. It's the single-player game. It's a big deal. Nate the Hate followed it up by saying Starfield is also coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026 over on Twitter. I am going to enjoy watching Nintendo YouTubers worm and squirm and act like they like Starfield now, because I'm pretty damn sure a vast majority of them, they crapped all over that game. I played it for like 20 hours and got bored with it. I don't think it's a great game or anything like that. But I think the thing about Indiana Jones and by extension Starfield is I want to see how these games run and perform on the system. Starfield didn't run, anything exceptional on the Xbox Series X. Indiana Jones, however, is a gorgeous looking game and a gorgeous running game. So, you're kind of gotta get a glimpse of what the Switch 2 is capable with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle when it comes out in 2026. Other games included the Outer Worlds 2. Looks pretty cool. You know, I was a big fan of the first one. And the final big game for me personally was Resident Evil 9 wrapping up the show. I don't know how much of this trailer I can show. It was a very short trailer, but it was very gory. It didn't really explain, like, too much of what was going on. It's the character that you play as and her mother, and stuff happens in the apartment and stuff, and you got to get out of the apartment. It definitely set a vibe, though. I think the game itself looks absolutely gorgeous, and, you know, definitely, obviously a day one for me, as I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Interestingly enough, though, no Switch 2 logo. I thought that was the big rumor that the insiders had, saying it was coming to Switch 2, and there was going to be a playable demo at Gamescom. What happened with that? We're gonna brush that off to the side there. But yeah, that was all the stuff that stood out to me. And this was like a 2+ hour show. So that kind of, with the pre-show, it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes. And those are the only things I'm talking about. So that kind of gives you a gist of how I felt about this show. There was a musical performance as well. I took some trash out during that time. They showed off a World of Warcraft DLC. I think it's called Midnight. They showed off a long cinematic for that. Okay, like I'm sure the World of Warcraft fans, and there are millions of them, I'm sure they want to see gameplay. They don't really care about the cinematic, but, you know, it's through and through a Keighley show. At the end of the day, that's what this was, a typical Jeff Keighley show. You know, promise the world, and, you know, maybe something hits with you. But I did enjoy some things from it, and that's why I made this video. So let me know in the comment section down below, what were some of your highlight games that you saw at the presentation? What did you think about the presentation overall? Are you excited for our next Keighley show with the Game Awards? I'm surprised he's not doing something in spring of 2026. Jeff, I feel like you're missing out on something there, all right? You do the Summer Games Fest. This is kind of fall-ish. You could classify it as fall, and then you have December for the Game Awards. You got to do something for the spring, man. You gotta buy another house or something like that. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Hit the bell as well. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.